Hello my friends and welcome back. It's Monday, so happy Monday to you. Yesterday there was a massive Ukrainian drone missile attack on Russian territory, and then on May 17th there was another massive drone attack. Now Russians are advancing on the front lines very slowly, meter by meter, but in the rear areas Ukraine is definitely dominating with explosions. The initiative is on the Ukrainian hands, and on the front lines it's on the Russian hands. This is the game they play. But let's go through detail what was really attacked, how many different targets, what weapons were used, and what was the damage. Two different big drone attacks again, 17th of May and yesterday 19th of May. Now, the most craziest target is Vyborg, or actually the former Finnish city of Viipuri. It's on the Baltic Sea, it's on the Finnish Gulf, so this is only 300 kilometers from Tallinn, where I am now. You can see it on this map, Estonia right here, Finland up here, this is the Finnish Gulf, and Vyborg is just a little bit north from St. Petersburg, only 300 clicks from Tallinn and 300 clicks from Helsinki, the capital of Finland. Now this is, let's see how much, 959 kilometers straight flight from the closest Ukrainian controlled point, and this was a Ukrainian drone. So this is a very far flying drone, and they're flying close to my border. What the hell? And you know what's even more interesting? You know, that's we can see what was blown up, of course, the fuel tanks. But what's more interesting is that Vyborg, or formerly Finnish Viipuri, was a Finnish city. It was occupied by the Soviet Union after the peace, after Winter War, when Finland ceded 11% of its territory to the Soviet Union, but it retained its independence. So it was a fully Finnish city. And then the Finnish civilians evacuated back to Finland, and Russia, or Stalin, renamed the city Vyborg. It was Viipuri before. If you're a Finnish guy, it makes you itch a little bit. You know, you're trying to take it back. Maybe you'll have your chance in the future. My friends, yesterday on May 19th, last night, there was a massive drone attacks over Crimea. And you might say, oh, massive this, massive that, it sounds very repetitive. Well, it is, because Ukrainians have destroyed Russian air defense capabilities in some certain areas. Russians have this air defense dome, however you call it, all across the Ukrainian front. Ukrainians have destroyed it in, for example, Crimea. It forms a significant gap, just a gap in the air defense dome. And Ukraine knows where these gaps are because they create them by focusing down on Russian air defense assets like S-400, S-300s. For example, in Crimea, last night, 5 different targets were attacked in 5 different places. The entire occupied peninsula, the most precious targets got attacked. I'll read you. Jankoi, Sevastopol, Simferopol, Yevpatoria, Kirovskoye, and Saki, and even more. But you know what's the most juiciest piece of info there? Because another Russian ship of the Black Sea Fleet was sent to sleep with the fishes. It was knocked out cold. It was demoted to be a submarine next to the flagship Moscow. Project 266M Kovrovets, sleep with the fishes. This ship right here. Now what's funny about Ukrainians slowly and methodically sinking the Russian Black Sea Fleet is that the United States, one of the most clearly cut threats they have issued on Russia is that if Russia uses any kind of nuclear capabilities in Ukraine, then United States with its army and air force will sink the Black Sea Fleet. That is supposed to be the threat for Russia. You do it, we're gonna sink your fleet. Well, United States has to understand this, that Ukraine is already sinking that fleet, only not with one big bang like the US would do it, but slowly and methodically and ship by ship. Around 25% of the entire Russian Black Sea Fleet has been sunk or damaged or taken out of action or irreparable. So they might not need United States aid on that. My friends, now May 17th, this was a few days ago, another huge, massive drone attacks. Ukrainians are exploiting the gaps in Russian air defense that they have created themselves. I'll focus, is one small detail about this S-400 defense system, defense battery. cost $1 billion. 1,000 million. Ukraine has destroyed 4 of these only this year, 2024. 4 S-400s. Russians can produce 1 to 2 S-400 systems per year because it's incredibly work heavy and resource heavy to produce them. Very difficult to produce them, especially with the sanctions. So every destroyed S-300 and S-400, irreplaceable. That's a fact, that's how it is. 1 billion is one S-400 and 4 of them have been destroyed this year by Ukraine, creating big air defense gaps, and this is why we see these massive drone attacks in the past week, mostly focusing on oil refineries. For example, May 17th, the refineries of Tuapse, Novorossiysk, are in the focus. Several videos show that the refinery of Tuapse has been hit, including the moments when the UAVs have arrived. What is important information about Ukraine striking these oil refineries is why it actually doesn't affect the oil prices globally. There's a reason. Because Ukraine does not attack Russian raw oil storage or export capabilities, they attack raw oil refining capabilities. Meaning Ukrainian attacks take away from Russian capabilities which produce petroleum, diesel, any kind of engine oils, everything that is like higher refined product, not the raw material. The global raw oil prices or raw oil prices, they're not diesel or refined petroleum prices. So these prices won't change. The raw oil Russia can still export and has to export even more, bringing down the oil price. Why do they have to export it more? Because Ukraine has destroyed their raw oil refining capabilities. If you cannot refine your raw oil, you have to sell it. Because you cannot produce anything out of it yourselves because your refining factories are burning. So this is why, in a weird way, these attacks against Russian refineries actually bring down the raw oil prices on the world, because Russia has to sell more of the raw oil because they are not able to refine it anymore. It is weird, it is strange, but you know what's even stranger? The fact that Russia actually now has to import refined oil products from, for example, Belarus. We know that Russians are importing diesel and petroleum from Belarus because they cannot make it themselves in certain areas anymore because Ukrainians are having fun burning down the refineries. My friends, now I'll bring you a little bit of a surprise that I haven't worked with them for almost a year, but I do like the taste of them. Check it out. My friends, I like to work out, but I have an issue with consuming enough protein since I have a small appetite. This is why each meal matters to me. And I choose Magic Spoon cereal for breakfast. Magic Spoon is high in protein, low in carbs, making it perfect for me after the daily workout. Magic Spoon cereal has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving, and 140 calories per serving. So it combines the dessert and savory food into a low carb, high protein meal for me. Here I have the fruity taste. Click the link below to get some Magic Spoon cereal today. You can build your very own custom box with all the flavors you love and use my code Estonian69 for $5 off. You can choose from the best-selling cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter and maple waffle flavors, plus other awesome flavors including honey nut, blueberry muffin, birthday cake, cinnamon roll and chocolate chip cookie. You can also add any of their delicious cereal treats to your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money. No questions asked. So click the link below, scan the QR code and use the code Estonian69 for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/Estonian69 to save $5 off your order today. Also, for my Canadian and British fans, Magic Spoon ships to Canada and the UK. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring today's video. And my friends, just to illustrate what does it mean when Ukraine destroys an S-400 defense system, Russian air defense system? Well, here is a map. This is May 12th to May 17th, so last week. after the last S-400 was destroyed, and immediately we get a massive increase in Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian soil, and we have 6 oil refineries, 1 substation, 1 airfield 2 times, 1 railway road, 1 military industrial complex enterprise, and 1 metallurgical enterprise. This is all because Russia does not have air defense capabilities to defend all of its areas, all of its precious factories, and Ukraine is focusing their drones through these narrow gaps on Russian air defense. Also, if you remember, Belbek Air Base in Crimea was struck last week, at the beginning of last week. We didn't know what was destroyed since we didn't have any satellite imagery. Well, now we do. There was a lot of fire. All across the night, secondary explosions happened. And these photos you see right here, it's actual satellite photos of the Belbek airfield, where about 10 to 15 planes were present at the time of the Ukrainian attack. And here we can see altogether 4 burned down Russian jets, with 1 attack on the ground. Very painful attack for Russia. My friends, a strange incident happened in Iran. Yes, Iran, a country under United States and the whole Western world sanctions for almost 4 decades. The president, hardliner and ultra-conservative leader of a country, has died in a helicopter crash. It was not only the president, but it was also the foreign minister of the country. So 2 of the, you could say, most important and highest politicians and powerheads of Iran have died yesterday. The chopper crashed on yesterday, Sunday. There was a search mission where, it's very strange, but also European Union countries aided the search mission. In the end, they found the chopper and both were declared dead. New president will be appointed immediately, but Iran already is under enormous foreign pressure due to the sanctions and due to them being a friend of Russia and aiding them with Shahed drones. And the internal situation is also not stable. Only in 2022 there were massive youth protests in Iran, which started after the morality police. Yes, there is a morality police in Iran, like 1984 or something, thought police. When the morality police killed a young woman for, I think she was not wearing her hijab or something. And then massive youth protests began and they were pushed down by force. The situation in Iran, internal situation, is waiting to explode. People are not happy with this ultra-religious regime. So this death of President Raisi is just a little bit more oil to the fire. My friends, it's finally here. Many of you send me photos and videos and text of how this would be a good idea, but Ukrainians are actually doing it. This is machine gun drone. This is big drone with machine gun attached to it. And as you can see, when it shoots, the blowback or pushback pushes the drone back so much that pretty much you can only shoot 3 to 4 bullets at the time. Otherwise, there's no accuracy. First or second bullet are aimed. Every other bullet after that is pushing the drone back so much that you will lose your accuracy. Now, if you are a machine gunner or know somebody who is, you know that machine gun is pretty much an area weapon. It's not a precise weapon. Yes, you can kill with it, but the main purpose for infantry squads is to push down the enemy so your friendlies can move forward or flank or whatever they want to do. Machine gun is not directly to kill, although it does if you hit something with it. But the main purpose is to keep the enemy heads down so they cannot shoot back. That's the main purpose. And the secondary is to kill. Now this drone, I think this machine gun's main purpose is to kill. Since it's high above, it only can shoot 3 to 4 bullets at the time without losing the aim. It can really choose a good location, high up in the air, really take aim, and focus down on individual soldiers, because Russians send these meat assault squads and these soldiers are scattered across the no man's land and they have to be taken down with kamikaze drones and dropped grenades right now, one by one. This machine gun could do the same job, only it's reuse and cheaper. So I do see use on this machine gun, although it is as influenceable as other drones to electronic warfare jamming or spoofing. So you lose the drone, you lose the machine gun, you lose the whole project. In this sense, if you lose one kamikaze drone to the jamming, it's not a big deal. But if you lose this to jamming, it's pretty big deal. So this is the negative side of it. But I do see the use of it on the battlefield. My friends, in this video, you can see Russians looting in Vovchansk, northern Kharkiv Oblast. This is the new settlement. They have entered northern Vovchansk. Still battles going on and Ukrainians are trying to push them out of the settlement. This is the new front they opened, and immediately these troops break into this Ukrainian urbanized area, they immediately started looting, and we see that on the drone footage right here. Of course, the first things to be taken are washing machines every time. You would think that on the European part of Russia, which is Belgorod Oblast, where they came from, they would have washing machines, not like the Far East, but still they don't. Still they're looting, even 2.5 years later into this war, still they are looting. Nothing changed. My friends, on May the 18th, Ukrainian mobilization law, the new law, took effect officially. I will now give you a summarize what this law changes, because Ukrainians had a mobilization law before, but this changes a lot, so much. They're changing their whole approach and how they recruit men into the army. First of all, why was this necessary? For this, I will have to turn to Budanov. Budanov. I will quote him. It is impossible to move away from mobilization. Now there are 1.1 million people in the Ukrainian Defense Forces. No amount of recruiting can cover such volumes. Recruiting meaning that volunteers who join the army have to cover the fallen comrades or rotations of the troops. 1.1 million is the size of the Ukrainian army, making it one of the largest armies in the world right now. Again, not the largest, one of the largest in the top 5. And you can recruit volunteers when you have 100, 200,000 big army. When you have such a big army, you need to mobilize. And that's what they're doing. So what changes now? Well, first of all, first change is that the minimum age of mobilization is now lowered to 25. Before it was 27, meaning you cannot mobilize younger than 25-year-olds. You cannot mobilize a 24-year-old man to fight. 25 and higher. Second change is that now they can mobilize from prisons, much like Russia, only that there is a very strong distinction between the crimes. They can only mobilize minor criminals, not murderers and other bigger, heavier crimes. They cannot take these people. They can offer recruitment for minor criminals, and for that their sentences will not be deleted like in Russia, but will be reduced. Another change is that avoiding drafts in Ukraine, avoiding mobilization, the fines for that are now 5 times larger than before. So that motivates people not to avoid the draft. And of course, Ukrainian young men do not like this, because nobody wants to go and fight in a war. Nobody nowhere. Even if you're a patriot, you still don't want to fight on the front. You want to help your country in other ways. And this is why we have Ukrainian truckers protesting against this mobilization law yesterday. Some are even leaving their trucks on the Kyiv-Odessa highway and leaving the country, trying to leave the country. Of course, you cannot, if you're mobilization aged 25 to 60, you're not allowed even to leave the country at all if you're a man in Ukraine. And some people try to leave the country illegally. Overall, this law is not popular. Of course it is not, because it forces men to fight. But Ukrainian army is in heavy need of manpower, and this law is the source of it. This is where they get it. And Ukraine, right now, even with all of the refugees abroad, still has this manpower. In abundance, actually. They haven't mobilized. Up until now, it has been volunteer-based. And this has been insanely effective. That all of this 1.1 million, or the increase in the army, has been volunteer-based. Well, now this will change. Men, if they want to, or if they don't want to, they still have to go. Now we go to Russia and see how Russians do the same thing. In this video, for example, you can see one periodical raid, which targeted taxi drivers in Sheremetyevo airport in Moscow for military conscription. Dozens are arrested for improper documentation. Those caught in such raids are typically offered a choice: prison or war. In Russia, there are many, actually millions of foreign workers from Tajikistan and Kazakhstan and countries who have even lower GDPs than Russia. They go to Russia, much like Polish go to United Kingdom or Germany, or Estonians go to Finland. They go to Russia. And then there, Putin's special forces, police special forces, raid their workplaces. A lot of them don't have proper documentation. This happens with immigrants usually. And they can then legally be taken immediately, because the laws have been changed for such purposes, and they can immediately be sent to the front. This is how Russia gets their men right now. My friends, German Defense Minister Pistorius doubles down on aid for Ukraine. Germany is really stepping up on it, leading the European Union countries in aid to Ukraine given in numbers, not per GDP or per capita, but per sheer billions of euros. Pistorius asks for another 7 billion euros for Ukraine, and another 15 billion has been allocated for 2025. This, what it means, why is it so important? It breaks the illusion that Putin is trying to create that the Western world will get tired of helping Ukraine, supporting Ukraine. The Western world, the Western countries and European Union countries have long-term lasting contracts and agreements and pledges of billions, even hundreds of billions for the next 10 years for Ukraine. So there is no way, it's not a choice whether you get tired or not. The decision has been made. They will be there for Ukraine for the coming years in this war if necessary. European Union will carry the weight of this war, although they can do it more in my eyes and they should do it more, but it's not a question anymore whether the West will get tired, because they are in. They're in with agreements, they're in with investments into Ukraine, they're in with pledges from the European Union budget. They are in, there's no way back there. So this bluff for Putin has failed. The West is fully invested. Although in my eyes, now we can argue how much they're invested. They could be more, and it's slowly happening. So in this case, Germany's Defense Minister Pistorius is trying to increase this, asking for this year another 7 billion for Ukraine in weaponry. This would come out of the German budget, which is already in great deficit. And this is where I have to give credit for the German people. Country's budget is in deficit, meaning that it gotta take a loan. That's how it is. The money is not gonna add up. And Pistorius still wants to give more weapons to Ukraine and buy with the German taxpayer money. Now, I will respect that. I have to respect that. That is German people sacrificing a little bit of their everyday comfort so that Ukraine can fight for their independence and win. Estonians have done it, and Germans are doing it. Thank you. Now, my friends, I want to introduce you to a Ukrainian hero, a fallen Ukrainian hero. Lieutenant Colonel Denis Vasilyuk, the Chief of Staff and First Deputy Commander of Armed Forces of Ukraine, Aviation Squadron, has died during a combat mission. He was a pilot of the fighter aviation of the Ukrainian Air Force. Denis Vasilyuk has flown dozens of combat missions since the beginning of the full-scale invasion and is a holder of the Order of Courage. And this is what a hero looks like. Now, a loss of a pilot for Ukraine is a huge loss, a massive loss. This would be the most expensive human asset Ukraine has in the Army or Air Force, the pilot, because the training takes a long time, the equipment is expensive, and what they can give to the Army, it's a total force multiplier if it's an effective pilot, if it's an ace, for example. My friends, now for the first time in this week, and I do it with a smiling face, I want to butcher the Buy Me a Coffee names. I've been doing this for, honestly, years. I've been butchering these names of the supporters of the channel, and I will not stop. So if you don't want your name to be butchered, don't sign up. Rian Gaskins, Jaques P. Roberge, Toug Jour Killing me Smalls Bell, Jochen Christie, Wolfgang Mechel, Patrick Vea, Alan Adrian, Jet Juli. Thank you to these people for supporting the channel. You do really help me create these videos, take a lot of stress off my back, so you have that power over me. Thank you, my friends. And until my tomorrow's video, I'll leave you with the introduction of the total new Ukraine Aid platform we have built with the team. We have built it for you. Go and check it out. Here, let's play the video. Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye. My friends, we at the REHI team have taken the next huge step in Ukraine aid operations. The operation is public at rehiartur.com. I'll walk you through it. On rehiartur.com, you have two options. By clicking on REHI Store, you can discover a whole new clothing brand called REHI, and you can see the page on the screen and in the description below. There are two collections, REHI and Ukraine Classics. I wanted to give you a way to show your mindset through the designs you wear. and thus REHI was born. You can show your support for the freedom of the Ukrainian nation by wearing the most iconic designs connected to the Ukrainian fight for independence. For example, with love from Ukraine or in HIMARS with trust. If you wish to go more conservative, then REHI collection is for you. The REHI brand stands for what I stand for, the freedom of one's nation to determine their own fate. By the way, you can even surprise your companion with a gift card for a present. Okay, that was scary, starting my first clothing brand. But that's not all. On rehiartur.com, we can click on Artur's Army to go to artursarmy.com, whole new Ukraine aid platform. You can see that Artur's Army has delivered close to $500,000 worth of equipment to Ukraine. And if you scroll down, you can see 3 operations to contribute to: drones, vehicles, and humanitarian aid for those who wish to help Ukrainian orphans. All delivered drones and vehicles show up if you scroll down even more. As you can see, Ukrainian victory loading is in progress. You can click on read more to any of the 3 missions to find out more information about the specifics and past successes. My friends, I'll go through the checkout with you. For example, let's pick drones and let's click donate. It guides us to this really cool checkout page. Contribution for the purpose. You can choose multiple categories. The summary will be shown down below. For example, one cheap kamikaze drone costs 1,000 USD. So if you click 1,000, it's 1 tank destroyed. If you click 500, it's 0.5 tanks destroyed. And if you play around with this one right here, you get the exact number of tanks destroyed. We're talking about Russian tanks demilitarized, of course. This is the most cost-efficient and fastest way to knock the occupiers out cold. Now, if you're finished with drones and you want to add something more to your cart, click vehicles, and one vehicle costs 15,000 USD, so you can choose your own amount or play around with this one here to choose a smaller amount, and you can see it translates immediately. You can fill out your entire cart like that. Or humanitarian aid, we will be delivering laptops to Ukrainian orphans so they can continue learning and their education path. If you have chosen everything, you can do the checkout by PayPal or credit card, which is Stripe, and boom, that's how easy it is. I will be creating footage, images, and videos. I'll be putting all of the convoys on my YouTube channel, on my Buy Me a Coffee page, on everywhere. So you can see that your money is put in perfect use in the most efficient and fastest way possible. Your skills and expertise can be used for Ukrainian victory, so join Artur's Army. For that, there is a form to fill out, and that's it. We will be in touch when we have a mission for you. My friends, together we will bring Ukraine to victory. Slava Ukraini!